Hello, this is Eric Simonson. I'm glad that everyone is able to join us today for our Market Vista webinar. I am joined today by Peter Bendor-Samuel, who is the founder of Everest Group and a longtime industry observer on outsourcing and global services. We'll take advantage of his time today to get some reflections and thoughts on what we believe is a fairly interesting time in the market in terms of slowing growth and changes on multiple dimensions and what those mean for the industry. I'm also joined by Karthik, who is the Vice President in our research practice and responsible for our global sourcing research. What we'll be covering today is really two things. First, we will reflect on 2012 and what happened in the global services market. We'll also go deep on global sourcing locations and what we think will happen in 2013 and sort of gaze into our crystal ball to talk about what we think are the key trends for people to be considering. As always, the material from today's webinar are drawn from our Market Vista product offering along with our work in locations and other IT and business services. One important piece of terminology I want to clarify at the start of the webinar so we don't get too many questions on it is our use of the term Global In-House Center, or GIC. Beginning in roughly the middle of 2012, we've adopted this as the term to replace captive. And so all of our mentions today on the charts and how we speak will be using GIC in terms of captive. The rationale for this is described on the slide, and feel free to read it at your leisure after the webinar. Jumping quickly into what were the highlights of 2012, three main themes that we'll be covering today. First, we'll see how the global services market has been maturing on a number of dimensions. These include transactions, the service provider performance, locations, and GICs. We'll also look at new location setups, and we'll see the increase in Latin America. Finally, we'll look at the GIC setups and how those have been fairly steady and how people are using those differently. Peter, we'd be curious to get your reflections on 2012, and in particular, if you could identify one thing that you found to be a surprise, what would that be?
Yeah, I think last year was quite an interesting year. I think that the biggest thing that surprised me was the increasing influence that business stakeholders are gaining in technology and service spend. This is coming at the expense of the enterprise functions, which are the traditional, for example, in IT, the CIO-led organizations, or in the broader BPO space, the shared service organizations.